time, just dropped a link to the Miro board in the chat. Eric, if you want to make me a host, I'll share my screen again for the recording.
Sorry. There you go.
Cheers.
What's up, Penguin?
Hello.
All right. Cool. So yeah, feel free to click on that link. I think I see already a few people in here. 4 people. Great. So Mark, what do you think? Should we do a little bit longer on the inspiration board?
Sure. Yeah, I think we have time for that.
Okay, cool. Then I'll bring everyone to me. Hey, Matthew, I think you just joined. Feel free to open the Miro board.
Good morning.
And
Welcome, Matthew.
good morning. So we have the agenda. So we're going to do a quick introduction, 5 to 10 minutes. Then we wanted to go over the inspiration board. And if possible, also actually spend a bit more time on this, right, Mark? Maybe everyone can start adding a few more things. If you guys have some inspirations in mind already, we can quickly go over the ones that are already there that were shared.
Mm-hmm.
Then we're going to do an exercise a bit like last time, but this time really focused on the values. We'll get to that in a second as well. And maybe to define values a bit, so part of the introduction, we added a few definitions here that we found online that were quite relevant, and also we tailored them slightly to the DAO. So for the first one, the values are the important principles, important beliefs, ways of behaving and seeing the world that connect everyone. They represent how the organization moves through and interacts with the world. You'll see the word, interacting and behaving coming up a few times in the following definitions as well. Members of our DAO are expected to embody these values because indeed the DAO is a collective of people. It is how we behave and interact with each other and the outside world as well. And they represent how we as a DAO do or DAO. Yeah, that was a bad pun. Or how we do business. I don't think doing business is really what we do per se. That's why maybe there's another word for that. But,
maybe stewarding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stewarding. Yeah. And last one, this is kind of also what we look like. So this is something you guys can think about later for the exercise. It might be how we look like when we are working at our best, when we're really on fire and performing brilliantly. So yeah. And like we did in the last few sessions, we'll also have a discussion section. Again, you can vote using a purple heart, ask questions. We want to have a vibrant discussion, so feel free to ask stuff, and we'll try to, like last time, we'll try to bucket things into groups as well a bit during the discussion section.
Yeah, may I add something, Max?
For sure. Yeah.
I mean, I would just love to give permission to everyone to. This is an open space for us. It's a safe space for us. So please, if you have something, a thought, or a useful information, please, unmute yourself and speak up. I think this is again a collective exercise. You are part of this. You are part of this community. So yeah, that's it.
For sure. Cool. So should we hit up the inspiration board a bit, Mark?
Yeah. Let's start with that. So Max and I have designed this little, simple inspiration board, and we've started to put a few of the projects, i.e. companies, startups, DAOs, that their values like really resonated with us. For me, it's like, just gives us a good sort of like maybe starting point, or things to think about, or maybe even a playbook of sorts, to take inspiration from. So if I could start really quickly, there's a few projects that really stand out to me. One of them is Zora, and if you could see right here, we want to win together. We want to build together. We must collaborate to make this happen. I really love that because it is it's aspirational. It resonates with people who are community minded and collaboration minded. Certainly resonated with me, and I also see that within our DAO too, where people are collaborating, uh, on different projects. People who are have different backgrounds, really just like collaborating, having a shared goal. And so that really spoke to me, and I think Zora really embodies that. Another project is also Gitcoin. I really love how clear they are in their goal. It's like we build and fund open web together. Open source projects, public goods. They want to get developers paid, and to give incentive for them to build open source software. And the really admiring thing for me with Gitcoin is how consistent they are. With like from their branding, from their Twitters, from how the founders even like speak, to the audience. It's I could see ourselves, sort of like getting to that same point where we are all aligned in the same goal, and how we speak to each other, how we share our projects and our ideas would be consistent to the DAO's values. And lastly, Index Co-op is a big inspiration of mine. Um, right here, I have a screenshot of their handbook. They've created a community handbook, and it's really interesting. I'm sure there are other DAOs who are very intentional with this, but I think Index Co-op is like really on top in terms of like really being intentional, articulating it, writing it down so that everyone could actually see it and refer to it. And this guides their like how they deploy projects, how they fund projects. And so I'm just gonna share maybe or read a few of them. So one of their principles within community is long-term thinking, people over profits, fairness, empathy, internal motivation, transparency. And so I think these are values that I think most of the DAO space, or in the larger crypto space, really sort of like are uphold, and also like are very important. And so I could see us also as Rarible DAO creating something like this, where a shared doc where it's a living document, right? Like at some point, it might shift, it might change, but at least there's a reference point, there's a starting point. So yeah. um yeah, I mean, like, who wants to go next in terms of sharing their inspirations?
I added a few to here. The Ready Player one, which to me is I don't know. It's just kind of a crazy movie. I'm sure a lot of you have seen it, but it shows a lot of this like possible future that we might be headed into, and this dream world that ultimately NFTs in many ways could enable. So I think it was interesting for me. On the left is a website that I thought was really interesting. Actually, you can visit it, Max, so the audience can see it. I think it's y-n10.com. Let me just say y-n10.com. Here, I'll share it in the chat.
Max, you could like click on the post-it. I think it would lead to the website.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Sure, you put that. That was good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a
I
cool
shared
one.
it in the chat here. Oh, there it is. Yeah. You have to
Oh.
click enter.
What I appreciate about this website is that Yamauchi is very forward with their philosophies too. Um, so if you click on philosophy, it's a cool website, by the way.
Yeah, it's just very fun and
It is, yeah.
like entertaining when you go through it. And yeah, to me it was just like, I don't know, it's fun, right? And it just felt like we could have a similar fun culture of, especially these are like little Lego blocks, it's like, it just makes you think like, oh, composable NFT pieces. At least that's what I'm thinking about. What else in there? I put Lego in there because I think we just, these building blocks and we're building something really cool. I put a picture of Einstein because I think innovation in space is something that we could really lead. I put Nike, just do it. I think that like in many ways that embodies like a lot of what we do in the DAO. It's like, just get it done, right? Just do it. If you're building or you're contributing. So yeah, those are the ones I put.
Awesome.
Cool. Yeah, I added a
I
couple
really
ones
like
as well on the right. Sorry.
Like that Apple.
The Apple one, yeah. That's the 1984 ad, right? They had a time when they were competing with IBM. They were still the underdog, but yeah, they took over now, right? Like now
really
they're not.
Inspiring commercial.
For sure. Yeah, I think that one speaks for itself. I also added the Palo Alto Research Center because they were really incubating a lot of the technology and a lot of stuff that also led to the web and a bunch of other things as well. I don't know per se what their values were, but it seems to have worked. So I thought it was pretty cool. Also Linux, right? Open source. The one below is Project Xanadu. It never actually ended up working out, but it was like a World Wide Web kind of project that was created. They wanted to have hypertext, which means that everything that was everything that was created, any web page or any paragraph that was created, you could automatically reference, and everything was interconnected. So there was kind of this both collaborative, but also vision of the web that in the end didn't succeed, but there's a lot of, I think, overlap with what happened when Web 1 and Web 2 started, that we can learn from as well. And I added Ghost because I like it. It's like this independent publishing platform. They're still they're Web 2 based, but they're really open source, and also they're driven by a nonprofit. They're pretty cool. So yeah.
Amazing. So I see a few additions here. Uniswap. I think Lewis. I think it was Lewis who posted this. You want to say a few words?
Yeah. I dropped that one in there, and like I know there's like debate about the Uni token and its governance and its ability as for the community to actually work. But I think that like what was really inspiring for me was that the airdrop they did. Like if you just used it and you just got this this airdrop, this money. And it was at a time when COVID was really bad here in the US, there wasn't a lot of support. There were 3 payments, over the whole time that people would get unless you did unemployment. So that was kind of one of those things where oh wow, Uniswap just kind of airdropped more relief than the government did. And it was very kind of inspiring, made me kind of feel wow, yeah, this is the reason why I'm loyal to this space, because I participate in it and I just get rewarded by being a part of it. So it just, it was one of those things one of my favorite projects now. So
Yeah, I love Uniswap for sure. Let's see, we got Zappos and we got Tesla. I believe Matt dropped this. Yes,
I did. So I put Zappos on there because I think when you're talking about a brand that started off shoes and getting into that space where there was obviously a lot of other providers. You don't get to, $1 billion, without doing something great. And one of the things that I remember Tony said about building the culture there to start, that he had regretted not doing it sooner, because he always felt like a deliberate sort of effort around culture was too corporate. That's something very corporate to do. And ultimately, ended up growing what, if you go to any kind of business, university now in the US, they will utilize that as like a top 5 example of what it means to build a good culture. But it all started around what you all have done here, which is, the purpose, right? And their purpose was to kind of like to live and deliver a wow. And then, around that, they had, decision making and priorities, and there were rituals and meetings and like a psychological sort of safety net too for those that wanted to bring up things that maybe were disagreements and whatnot, and ultimately that manifested into something that was really great. And so I think that we're going about it in all the right ways by doing this, but not wanting to be corporate, not wanting to apply too much process and structure around what we're doing to start. It's kind of, I think, the spirit of what we were trying to at least avoid. And now we've gotten to a point where we realized the only way to sort of get to a unified effort is to at least have some rails on this machine.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I love how Zappos embodied their value, right? Like to bring wow, to bring happiness. I think I don't know if you all have read Tony Hsieh's like book. I think it was called Delivering Happiness. I mean, it outlines
Exactly what it's called.
Yeah. And it was like it outlines his story and how he thought about all these things and how he encouraged, people to like, yeah, dude, if this resonates with you, please come work with me. And and really challenged like corporate structures and all that stuff. Tesla. Do you want to say a few words about Tesla, Matt?
Oh, I didn't add Tesla.
Oh, okay. Well, who added Tesla? I think it was Eric.
I added, yeah.
Okay.
Again, I mean, it's in line with like the innovation piece. I think Tesla's done a really good job at setting themselves apart. And yeah, I think we can do the same, right? I think we can be the bedrock for a lot of crazy experiments and innovation, and I think they've pioneered, their own thing, and I think they're a good role model in that sense.
Mm-hmm. Yep, 1,000%. Cool. Max, what do you think? Should we move on to the exercise?
Unless someone wanted to
Oh, yes.
speak up.
Yeah.
If anyone wanted to add something even without posting, feel free. Otherwise, indeed, yeah, Mark, let's move to the next part. Okay, I'll take that as a no. Cool. Then let's move to the exercise. Sorry, I had to drag. Okay. So let's do like 5 minutes like last time. Everyone can grab stickies. You can add your name as a tag so that, afterwards we can discuss them. You can just click on a sticky and then add your name by clicking on tag. And then you can just duplicate that one sticky, and then fill it with the values. So basically, what you're going to write on these stickies is values that are important to you and that you think are important to our community. And you can also use, the definitions that we discussed before as a way to think of that from different perspectives. Let's maybe start a timer for 5 minutes if everyone is ready.
Yeah. And one last thing, Max. Limit minimum of 5, maximum of 10 per person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. All right, I'm starting the timer.
Here we go.
Where's the countdown noise?
It's on the mirror board. What do you
Is
see it?
there, where's the tunes?
You don't hear it?
No, I don't hear it.
Oh, you don't hear it? Well, there's music coming from mine.
Same. It's kind of stressful, actually.
Lewis, I've added a few like stickies like near where you are so that you could use them to actually yeah, put
Gotcha,
each
yes.
value.
Okay.
Now I got the music. There we go. Figured it out.
Cool. Time is up. All right. Let's see what we have here. So I'll be starting from the left to the right. Okay. We'll start with Jose. Jose writes empowering, supportive, and bold. And then right next to it, well, at the bottom is from Penguin. And he writes empowering, exciting, creative, and transparent. And then I wrote innovation, creativity, transparency, people centered, social good, long term thinking, learning, future oriented, and collaboration. And then Louise says positive reinforcement slash incentivization, Web3 first focused, acceptance, solidarity, encourage risk taking, and embrace failures. Love that. And then right here, well, it has a tag mark, but this is not mine.
Oh, it's me.
Oh, it's
my
you.
bad.
Okay, cool. So
Yeah.
this is from Max. Supportive, inspiring, and open. Then right below it, not sure who wrote this. Honesty, integrity, protection of environment. I love that.
That was me.
Oh, word. Thank you, Mark. And then right below is Map, and he writes purpose, direction, productivity, value creation, community growth. And then right here on the rightmost, I believe it's Eric, right? Or maybe I'm wrong. Okay. Inclusiveness. I love that. That's really important. transparency, clear in our vision and purpose, fun, fearless, welcoming, committed to our vision and values, not afraid to be wrong, learn, very important, empowering and uplifting. Yeah, I think that's all of it. I do see a sort of pattern here, or sort of similarities. One of them is learning. So, if I may, I will batch them together. So, Eric says, not afraid to be wrong, learn. I've also written learning. Um, that's a good one too. Yeah. Encourage risk taking and embrace failures. Yes, that is part of learning. And yeah, I mean, I would encourage everyone to maybe just join in and like try to bucket all of these values or similarities between them. Um, so we got the learning section right here.
I don't want to break up Matt's
What's that?
diagram. I don't want to break up Matt's beautiful diagram.
I'm like OCD, you know, like I can't step on the crack on the sidewalk or go ahead and break it up. I obviously did. I think I missed the point. I thought we were trying to wrap a process around how we would go about what's important in the values and you know the mission.
Mm-hmm. No. I think what you did is good, Matt. I think you've articulated important values, such as purpose, productivity, community growth. So I believe this is something that we could all sort of like, um, it's
Here,
helpful.
I'll take these off.
So okay, Web3
Oh,
first focus. I believe that is probably part of innovation. I feel like a lot of us are builders, and so I feel like innovation is something that we value, creating something new or building on top of like what's out there, um, creating solutions to problems. Uh, let's see here. We also have transparency, transparent, honesty. Yeah, this makes sense. Yeah. Uh, yeah, maybe future oriented is under innovation. Okay, let's see what we have so far. Supportive, welcoming, acceptance, open, solidarity. That sounds like people centered to me.
Yeah, I mean that's if you were to bundle all that together, I think you could define that person as somebody who is humble. You know, because
Mhm.
these are behaviors that are right outcomes of how they consume situations
Mhm.
and how they then project, you know, and treat others, you know, in those situations, whether they agree or disagree. If you're humble, I think I remember like reading with Rarible, like that was like one of the first things I read on the blog when I was going through the process was just to, you know, kind of have that in mind, you know, and I don't think that, you know, I think that's very, very important.
Mhm. Yeah.
Then you're a call with a bunch of engineers, you'll get humbled very quickly.
For sure. Okay, I'm gonna create some circles so that people know like that these are buckets. This one
But that's it
too.
being like a Venn diagram. I mean, you know, I think that you could say like what would be the one sort of defining link, you know, in the chain that kind of pulls each one together. You know what I mean? Like if
Mhm.
there's like an overlap of two, you know,
Mhm.
what would that be that starts to kind of connect this together? So it's, you know, these are in orbit, right, around sort of one central theme as opposed to spinning off into space.
If
Yes.
anyone's read Brene Brown's work, one of the things that she really points out is that even for very little communities, being able to focus around, two, at their back through really you need to have them, and it's really difficult to have more than two pivotal values at top of mind.
Jonathan, I think I'm losing you. Is it the same for everyone?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Jonathan, feel free to type in if your internet is a little kind of like sketchy right now. Feel free to type your thoughts. Yeah, we would love to hear what you just said. Cool.
It sounded like he was expressing information overload,
Mm-hmm.
and that it's really important to focus.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we can think about which one resonates with the group the most in terms of category.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So, a part of us bundling and putting these into buckets is sort of just identify similarities, of thoughts and values. I think the next step right now to identify which ones resonate the most is to vote on which values resonate with you. And Max, I don't know if we figured out like if there's a limit to votes, or are they just gonna vote, as much as they want, sort of thing.
Yeah, it's a good question. And
Yeah.
also if we want to vote per group or per item, because some items are slightly different, right? Even within a group.
It looks like
True.
we should regroup the items really quick. It looks like there's the same ideas in different circles.
Mm-hmm.
It might be really fast to just group all of the same ideas in the same circles, and that way we already reduce a lot of the overlap and kind of overload.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, we could certainly do that for sure. But so far, well, I want to hear everyone's feedback. Does the buckets make sense? Are all the thoughts in there sort of similar to each other, or are related?
Some of them are a little bit different, like bold
Mm-hmm.
and fun, for example. I find like they might be more like related to our voice and less of values. Like I'm not sure if bold is a value. Maybe I don't know. But some of them are kind of like I feel like a lot of them could be grouped together.
Mm-hmm.
They have very similar words, but then there's some that are like I don't know where it fits in.
True. True. Yeah, I think with bold, I'm thinking more towards like people, which is in the far right. Bold, supportive, people centered, welcoming, acceptance, open, solidarity, fun. Those are like emotions, right? I believe social good might also be fitting to be in the people bucket. Do you think it makes sense? I guess question for the group. Do you think it makes sense to sort of like articulate what each group or bundling or circle stands for?
100%.
Okay.
Yeah, it's got to have an overarching theme just so you can there's a practical application of what each planet, embodies, right? Or these are like moons around like the Rarible DAO planet. So like there's a cadence and an organization to the, minutia.
Correct. So I'm calling this bundle people and social. And feel free to add your thoughts if.
Yeah, I mean, I would just say like for me, I've had an opportunity to work with some really great people, and I typically like to find like where there's a dumpster fire and like completely turn it around. And I always say like the first thing to do when turning around a bad company is to focus on the people. And it's always like people, process, product, and then, you know, partners in the ecosystem. So like, I like that you start with people here, because that really is everybody who's on this call and everyone that's making this up.
Absolutely.
And then after the people is the combined effort of those people, right? Which is process.
Right. Yeah.
I really like the comment Jonathan made in terms of trying to prioritize. He writes, a good test is to ask which values would be a deal breaker to my engagement with the community. And yeah, I totally agree. I mean, to me, like when we were talking about voting, I was like, oh, like, I don't know, I would vote on all of them, right? But if you really think about like, okay, if I'm a new person exposed to this community, what would actually be a deal breaker where I'm like, yeah, I need this, you know? I think it's an interesting way to think about it.
So Eric, what do you suggest we vote on and we think about what we don't want to lose or what we want to?
Basically, you can also just vote each person for two, for example. So that makes you choose, right? What you think. And from the ones that are decided, then we talk those and reanalyze them together and see where we go. Maybe we get some nice direction. Oops, sorry.
No worries.
This thing is really fun.
Lewis is typing path forward.
Yeah, because like, you know, this could be like purpose or direction, but like all of that is kind of like guiding the path that we continue.
So this one right here that doesn't have anything. Long-term thinking, social good, protection of the environment, value creation. I feel like that could be encapsulated by, I mean, long-term thinking.
I mean, it kind of feels like long-term thinking, there's a path forward. So, protection environment could go to like empowerment. You know,
Okay.
So I mean, I think this one we can kind of switch some of them around. Value creations, like creativity, kind of, and social good is also kind of empowerment.
I love that. Oh. I mean, just by looking at this on a macro view, we could already see patterns within our community, figuring out, you know, I think there is a alignment in terms of like empowerment, collaboration, creativity, a learning mindset, transparency, you know, a people mindset, you know, people and social. I wonder, Louis, if you have maybe a word that would encapsulate this, because it's I do understand. Yeah, it's a path forward. It's a direction. Here's what we need to actually move forward. But I wonder if there's a
ingenuity.
Ingenuity.
Are we talking about path forward?
Correct. Yes.
I was thinking rooted.
Rooted. Let's see. Rooted.
Grounding.
Rooted. Grounded. Grounding. Rooted. I love plant metaphors. I'm a gardener, so rooted, grounding.
Fun fact: you can create a metaphor for pretty much anything with a garden. Like we learned that in a creative writing class in college. It's like just everyone just kept spitting them out, and it's like, oh, you just can't stop.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you could even find that in our space, right? Seed Club. What else is out there? I guess Seed Club is the most obvious. Um, sweet. So I think we have a rough organization, classification of all these thoughts. And yeah, I mean, I wonder if it makes sense for us to vote on it per bundle or per category.
Or what if, I mean, I feel like they're all important, but I feel like to Jonathan's point, it's like, which would be like the most important? Yeah, like, I don't know, maybe it's by category.
It's by category. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I know that with Index Co-op, with their values, what they did was they split it into three. It's like business values, community values, and personal values. And so they covered like everything. And I just wonder if something similar, you know, would be applicable to us too, because there's a lot of personal values in here. There's also business values in here, i.e., innovation, creativity. There's also community values right here. It's like acceptance, solidarity, inclusiveness. And so, yeah, I wonder if it makes sense for us to split it into three also. And so that we could sort of completely encapsulate like everything that we've written.
I think Jonathan brings up a really good point in the chat as well.
Mhm.
That says, which of these would be a deal breaker if we didn't have? Now, which two of these, if we didn't have these, would be a deal breaker for you?
Mhm.
Yeah, I think like with that in mind, and also like taking into account like Matthew's point about like everything starts with like people in the business, like probably, and the way in my mind I see, like if you have people and these people are ambitious, bold, they have a learning mindset, they are creative, they're honest, then all you really need after that is to empower them, and then they'll do the thing that's like the positive sum that is good for everyone, for the community, if they're properly incentivized and empowered.
Yeah. I love that framing, Luis. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess I think from what Jonathan typed on the chat, I wonder, and maybe there's just like an open question for everyone, and feel free to chime in. Which values would be a deal breaker to my engagement with the community? And for me, top of mind is that if inclusiveness isn't part of our values, that's a deal breaker for me. Because if we are working in a space that's so nascent, that's very future oriented, we are actually deciding what the future of technology and the world is. Therefore, if we don't have a diverse set of like input, you know, um, we can't possibly serve the world, because it would only serve a few, you know. And so, yeah, I think that for me is a deal breaker. I wonder if there's anyone who wanted to sort of like chime in if there's a deal breaker value.
So for me, the top two are people and also the rooted and grounding.
Mm-hmm.
So I think for our ability to empower people and be kind of the leaders, we need to be forward thinking and kind of have purpose in what we're doing and have direction. So I think being rooted and grounded is critical. And then we're aligned towards people. So I think the people and social aspect is where kind of like our energy comes from. So being bold and fun and open and supportive allows us to kind of support the people that do all of the other ones. So those are the top two for me, are the people and the fact that we plan and facilitate people. So basically we help plan the technology for people.
1,000%. Thanks.
Yeah, I think for me, like this like kind of requires some of the other ones to kind of be in there, like openness, acceptance, inclusiveness. But like the biggest thing for me personally is like the learning, because like you know, and this is personal because like this is why I'm like I love crypto, is because like I got into it, and just by learning about it, I learned a lot more about just everything else in the world, finance and everything, and it was really eye opening. So like, you know, that's why I really appreciate the space, because you end up learning things you wouldn't expect to. And so like, you know, learning, encourage risk taking, even if you're wrong or you might fail. Like, you know, I think that's really important for innovation, and also for like, you know, just generally empowering and improving, you know, helping people improve themselves and grow.
1,000%. Yeah, that resonates with me. I think crypto definitely is a multidisciplined field. You know, I mean, besides the technical aspect, of course, you have to learn the code if you're a builder and all that stuff. But I think it's most of the people who are really good in what they do have a wider sort of like view or perception. Um, I mean, even just like reading Vitalik's blog posts, like you can tell that this guy is actually learning all different disciplines, right? From politics to governance to game theory to like culture, I agree with that. Like a learning mindset is really something that is really an important value.
Yeah, it's really hard to narrow down to two. I mean, like I don't know. Yeah.
Maybe it's Max and I's job to sort of like collate them into something that's more legible, that would encapsulate like all these values that the community presented. Yeah, what do you think, Max? Is this something that maybe we would need time to sort of like edit out, shorten, and then present to the community to get their feedback?
Yeah, for sure. I think it's a little bit of a tricky topic, but I think what was shared today, I mean, we recorded everything, so we can go over the ideas. I think there were some good ones. Also, how we
Yes.
can connect these different groups to each other. So if we can share that, with the community and then iterate on that, I think that will be the most helpful. Also, given the 5 minutes we have left.
One note, I feel like the rooted grounding, like the reason why I think it's a bit hard for me, like rooted grounding includes like vision and direction. And in that vision, there'd be, talks of creativity and learning mindset. I think the rooted grounding basically like it includes some of these other buckets, like we're trying to create this crazy world, and it includes everything that we would envision. So I don't know. I see connection points between some of the other like empowerment and rooted grounding, and
Totally.
creativity and rooted grounding, because basically like those are included in the vision.
Yes. 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 Cool. Yeah, I think I think we have enough material here to sort of like chew on and marinate on, and for me and Max to actually edit. And this document, this whole workshop is really a process. It's a living document. Living and breathing, and that it might shift over time also. And so yeah, I think me and Max see this as a process. And so it's really important for us to hear your thoughts, and to please give continuous feedback as we sort of like craft these messages that we would later on adopt as our mission, values, and vision. Yeah, we would love to hear your thoughts, like, every step of the way. But yeah, I think we should wrap up, Max. I think we have like 3 minutes left. Do
Yeah,
you
for
have?
sure.
Mhm.
No, well said. Maybe if everyone sleeps on it as well, if anything else pops up in your mind, feel free to add it into the Discord. There's a specific working group channel, right?
Mhm.
Mark, that you created. So, if anything else comes up, feel free to put it in there and we'll incorporate it as well.
Yes, yes. So yeah, in addition to Discord, we would also like post on the forum too, about our progress, and yeah, we'd love to invite everyone to share their thoughts.
Cool. Just as I'm looking at this, like along the lines of what I was talking about, it feels like a lot of these buckets are social in nature, like being transparent and honest. I mean, it's really like it's really like how we relate to each other and collaboration. It's clearly a social thing. I don't know. Maybe there's something along the lines of what you're talking about, Mark, where there's like social aspect of the DAO and the values there, and then the rooted and like the tying it to the values, empowering, those sorts of things. Like maybe that's a different, maybe there's categorizations we can think about.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Yeah, very similar to like index co-op, where there's personal values, business values, community values. That might be the appropriate move for us to sort of like really articulate.
Yeah, super cool.
Cool, cool,
This is
awesome.
this. I have a quick side note. Right now, I'm working remote, and like this tool looks like it's really good for Miro. Or Miro looks really good for, getting these ideas out quickly and collaborating. But I know right now, since I'm working remote with such little screen real estate right now, it's hard for me to basically see all the bubbles kind of at the same time and process the information.
Mhm.
So I think, yeah, when you guys want to try to create more, even just a list, just again, so you can kind of, like I said, for me to see all on screen right now is kind of hard.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it kind of, like I said, there's a bunch of values here that seem to kind of overlap and whatnot. I guess how I would process that would be with like a mind map
Mm-hmm.
to
Yeah.
kind of figure out where the connections are. Because obviously, yeah, there's a lot of connections here and there's a lot of overlap. But I think with little time, there can be a more congruent, set of values and core values here for the DAO.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks, Mark. Are you part of our Discord already?
I don't believe I am, so I'll have to find that
Okay.
link.
Let me just link it to you real quick before we end this. Okay. Invite people. Copy. Okay. Here's the Discord link. And please join us. There'll
All
be
right.
like real-time conversations about this. There's a specific channel. And
All right.
if you feel lost, ping me. I'm Mark on Discord.
All right, Mark with a K.
Yeah.
And
Mark with a
C.
K.
Yes, that's how we can keep us straight.
Awesome.
All right,
Cool, guys. Thank you for your time, and
Thanks so
really
much,
appreciate your
guys.
thoughts. And we'll be talking to you guys soon.
Awesome. Thanks.
All right, see you guys. Thanks.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Good job, guys.